Hello, I'm Scott Danner with Freedom Street Partners, and we wanted to take a moment to get to know some of the advisors that we work with on a day-to-day basis. I'm here today with Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is with Blueprint Wealth Solutions, and Blueprint is one of our partner companies. They're one of our partners in offering great advice to our clients, but more importantly, we're like-minded individuals who work together. And highlighting some of our best people is something that I'd like to start doing on a regular basis. And today I'd like to introduce Richard. Richard, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Richard, tell everybody just a little bit about your background in our industry, maybe a little bit of where you came from and what pulled you into the industry, and how many years you've been doing this. And we'll talk a little bit more about your company in a little while, but I'd like to just understand a little bit about you.
Well, yeah, I actually started out thinking that my whole life I was going to be a commercial airline pilot. So it's funny, I came through the process of um, focusing on that goal and that goal alone. And that's how I originally grew up in Florida, went to flight school there and moved to Georgia to complete flight school through the military. Met my wife there, and she convinced me to stay in Georgia. But the military blessed me by turning me down because of my eyesight. So I was thinking, what else could I do that I would be passionate about? And I knew I loved working with people and helping people and wanted to solve problems. That's a natural gift of mine that I'm really enjoy, and I like complex issues. So I was it was one of those things that I sort of just stumbled into and fell in love with it right away, and just became really passionate about trying to figure out how I can migrate through all the problems that people have, and coming up with solutions for them.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool how life has a way of, handing you something that you dream of, that you always wanted to do, and then you can't do it. And instead you find this passion and this life's goal that you've been very successful at. How many years have you been practicing in our field?
Nearly 30 years now.
Okay. So not having
Probably
perfect,
shows, right?
no, you look like a baby. In our industry, believe it or not, we're both babies. The average age of an advisor is close to 62 years old, of successful advisors. There's a lot of young advisors that are getting started now, which is exciting. But from a level of offering solid client advice, have been doing it a long time. There's not as many advisors in the ages of the 40s and 50s as one might think. So, but not having perfect eyesight really led you to something that allowed you to solve so many problems. I noticed solutions is in your name, Blueprint Wealth Solutions. Where did that come from, the name of the company, and how you deliver to your clients, and how they correlate maybe?
Yeah, it came over time. We, like a lot of law firms, we used our last names, and I noticed a lot of financial advisors do that as well. But it didn't really tell the story about who we were and what we did. And we thought, also, we want to provide a legacy that when we're long gone, after we're long gone, there'll be other advisors that come behind us in our business that will continue what we started. And so we wanted to come up with a name that really spells out who we are and what we do in a nutshell. And Blueprint was just something that came to our mind when we were going through the thought process and trying to articulate, where we start when we start with a relationship. And just like building a home, you start with a blueprint. You start with the end in mind and how you want something to look. And that's how we visualize or think about when we meet with clients for the first time, or prospects for the first time. What do you want the end to look like? And so we design a plan for clients, whether it's an estate plan, a business succession plan, financial plan, but we start with a blueprint in mind. And then from there, we provide the solutions to solve that blueprint, or to fulfill that blueprint, if you will.
To solve for the client's dreams, goals, wishes.
Right.
You're really laying out the framework not only does the blueprint start it, but then you build the framework. And, I always love the analogy, Richard, that when you buy a house or you build a house, it starts with that blueprint. It moves to the frame of the house. And once you move in, you're going to make adjustments and changes over the years to update.
That's
just
right.
like you would a plan. It's never going to be fixed forever. And if it is, you'd have some 1970s shag carpet in your house with an old countertop that doesn't look good anymore,
Right.
and stains from your children, and all the things that we need to update along the way. And financial planning, it's really a fun part of the planning, is building from the baseline up what someone's goals, dreams, wishes would be, and how we can help them reach and solve for those objectives.
Right. And we commonly say we don't provide products, we provide solutions. We don't, we're agnostic when it comes to what products are being used. We're trying to, I've always told clients that, there are really no bad products per se. They're just bad solutions. And what I mean by that is oftentimes people use the wrong products in the wrong situations. So if you use the products the way they're designed to be used, there will usually be good solutions. So understanding, how products were designed and what they're designed to be used for is a big component in trying to do planning for people and making sure that we're providing the right solution for your particular situation.
Sure. I know that when it comes to planning, that's really your passion. You love to really sit down with the client, understand what the objective is, solve for it. And tell me a little bit about your role on your team. You have a team, you have a group of people that all work together for the end clients. And you have a specific role that you serve that's pretty special. What is that role, and what do you love most about doing it?
Yeah, so my role is predominantly on the big picture planning, the estate planning, the business succession planning, asset protection planning, and I think it's vital and sometimes and a lot of times overlooked in how things are being solved for people. Oftentimes in our business, there's a lot of financial advisors. I always tell clients there's three kinds of advisors out there. There's the stock jockey, which is a dying breed these days. There's the investment advisor who, simply just wants to give you advice on managing your money and investing your money. And then there's the comprehensive wealth management advisor, and that's somebody that's looking at the big picture and not just your investments, but looking at, how your legal documents are written, thinking about all the what if situations. What if something happened to you? What if something happened to your spouse? What if something happened to both of you? Where are your assets going to flow? And are they going to flow in the most tax efficient way? And oftentimes that's a very time consuming process. And a lot of advisors don't spend a lot of time and energy there because it's not very productive financially for the advisor, because it's hard to charge for your time to do that type of work. So we found it was best if we could formulate a team where I could just focus on this exclusively, and my partner, Mark, can focus on the investment piece and managing the portfolios for clients. And that way we're bifurcating our time, and I'm not worrying about, if am I going to get compensated for doing this? And so it's something I'm passionate about because it's also one of the biggest things that can damage someone's portfolio is poor estate planning. I think where the aha moment was for me was about 25 years ago, and one of my largest clients at the time had about a $22 million estate, and I didn't know much about planning then. I just knew that she would have a lot of estate tax if she passed, and asked her, "Hey, did you do any planning, to account for this?" And she said, "Oh yeah, I paid, my attorneys in Atlanta $20,000 to do all this estate planning and fancy planning, so I'm good." So I concentrated on just managing her money, and which was about half of her estate. Well, a few years later, she passed away, and her only child came to me and said, "I need to liquidate everything I have in my account with you because I need to pay estate tax," which was $11 million. And at that moment, I realized it didn't matter all the efforts that I was putting into managing her money and trying to beat the markets per se really had very little added value to her. The biggest risk to her was the tax that was going out the back door. And so that's when I realized I could add more value to the client by trying to help eliminate or to reduce the estate tax bill than anything I could do on the investment side and managing her money. Because even if I made her an extra $1 million in a given year, which would have been great, that pales in comparison to the 11 million that tax liabilities she had.
Right.
So it just felt like a wasted effort all those years that I was putting into managing money for her, that I really was not adding a lot of value. And so that's when the light bulb went off and the trigger went off for me to say, I'm going to focus more on this because I think this is going to make a bigger impact for clients.
Yeah. And your personality really lends itself to being able to serve as both an advocate for the client as well as a advisor that's working directly with the estate planning attorneys and working directly with the accountants. I mean, we as advisors, we don't overstep when we're planning. We work together as a team to advocate on behalf of the client in the area that we fulfill. And I think you have found that niche with community partnerships, with really serving as the quarterback and sometimes even the head coach, where you know which pros to bring in, but you're doing all the right things for the client to help them navigate the complex world and the changing dynamics that exist out there. At Freedom Street, we have a saying that we constantly put out there, and it's from a Jack Johnson song. And if you don't know Jack Johnson, he's a retired surfer who ended up playing music on the beach with the guitar, and he's just an unbelievable artist. But he has a song called Better Together. And what you described with you and Mark and the team is really a better together mentality. You're building towards your strengths. You're not trying to go and be strong in every aspect of the business. Your goal is to be strong, if I heard you correctly, and to be better together so that each person's strength is really something we're building upon and growing with and learning together.
Well, your analogy is something we've used a lot over the years in describing our team and, telling clients, hey, when you think about a professional team of any sort, whether it's a basketball team or football team or baseball team, if you were a coach and putting together a team, you wouldn't put a team of the best catchers together and say, all right, now that's going to be a complete team. No, you find the best, first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, outfielders, pitcher, and catcher. Everyone is an expert at their particular area of what they do. And if they work collectively and they're really good at what they do, they're able to do more for the client than they could individually, right? And that's and using that same analogy, our role, you're right, is more like a coach. The client is the owner of the team. We're the coach, and the owner doesn't go out and pick the players and watch over them on a daily basis. They just want success to occur. And so they put the onus on us to make sure that we're meeting their goals. And so so we do serve in that role as a quarterback too. And I love that because where a lot of plans fail is clients will go meet an attorney, have a will or some trust document drafted. The attorney will tell the client oftentimes, hey, make sure you go out and update your legal descriptions on your real estate properties or your IRAs, your 401ks, so that they'll all coordinate with this document that I just generated for you. And then the client, being a business owner, whatever they do, go back to their normal lives and they say, I'll get around to it. And they never do. And then the plan fails. So I do love standing in that role and saying, let me be the quarterback. Let me talk to the attorneys. I'll get the drafts done for you. I'll go back and we'll create a checklist of all the to-dos that we need to make sure need to be done in order to coincide with this plan that we created. So everything works in a cohesive fashion. And then as things change, I would encourage clients that, as you buy more properties or buy or sell a business or do things of that nature, call me and just run it by me and say, hey, I'm getting ready to do this. How should I title this? Because I want to make sure it coincides with it and, with everything that we've just worked on together. And so I'll say, make sure we put this in the LLC and that it's the membership interest is owned by the trust. And because otherwise you're going to complicate things or create a tax issue for yourself. So that is a role that I love doing, and that's a valuable role clients seem to really enjoy, and they love having somebody watching their back for them.
Yeah. It brings up a great point, and we have a partnership and working together at Freedom Street Partners, and really serving as sister companies that work together and share services and collaborate on things that help make our businesses better. And when we founded our company at Freedom Street, one of my number one objectives for advisors was to actually hope and pray and build something that would give advisors the ability to go back to being advisors. The best thing I feel we could do in our industry is spend time one-on-one with that client, having time to call them, having time to serve them the way they deserve at the highest level. And quite frankly, in an industry that's very highly regulated and with good reason, but also, when you're running your own business and you're doing all these other things, it's very important to put those things as priorities. And so when we built out this partnership, this objective was to allow advisors to have more oversight and compliance, to have advisors have more investment management opportunities, and to be able to go back to even developing marketing strategies and doing things that are maybe outside the box for what you and Mark may be doing on a regular basis, but stuff that we really spend time learning and growing in. And it's the same better together mentality that Freedom Street and Blueprint bring to each other, because we learn from each other. Tell me, just give me a little bit of insight, just in our working relationship and how we collaborate. What are some of the things that stand out to you in our relationship and how we are helping each other really be the best at what we can do?
In terms of our relationship with Freedom Street?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys obviously, like we used the analogy a moment ago with teams, you guys bring things to the table that Mark and I are weak at. So for example, marketing and video editing and all these sorts of things. This Zoom stuff is something that's new for us. We've never done videos at all. And Mark and I, well, in fact, Mark, myself, and Rachel all don't have any personal profiles on the internet. I mean, as far as social media goes. So you guys are really robust in that area, and doing Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all the other social media things that you're doing. So that your marketing that you bring to the table, and just kind of upping our game a little bit, and making ourselves more visible to clients and helping them to understand what it is that we do than the old fashioned way of doing things. And that's maybe the downside of being in the business so long, is we tend to stick to the old ways of doing things, and we need to change and find ways to we can help each other. But you guys, and we're still learning a lot about what all your team members do and how they can serve us. And you guys have been a great partnership. We've thoroughly enjoyed having you guys as a partner, and we look forward to a lot of years together and working together and seeing what else we can do to help one another, help our clients.
Yeah, I think we feel the same way. When we built out this company model, the objective was to really not just have everybody to be a part of it, but to be very selective at the groups of people that we partnered with. And I think you and Mark and the team really symbolize everything that we stand for and what we built with the end in mind, much like you talked about with the blueprint and the planning. It's just been a blessing to be able to have like-minded individuals building towards things. And quite frankly, everybody has different strengths and blind spots. And the objective is to really stretch our comfort zones, grow together, all with the objective of serving our clients better, stronger, doing all that we can to really stay relevant. And I love the comment about youthful energy and changing it up. I mean, I've always believed, the people that stay the youngest and the most vital in any level tend to surround themselves with those that have experience and wisdom from the business. So older, wiser, developed, they've seen a lot, but they also aren't afraid of youthful ideas, of things that are new, of the way people are communicating. Anyone that has any client you talk to that has teenage or college age children will tell you that they prefer to call you. You prefer to call the child, but they won't answer. They just text you.
Yeah.
And if you don't text them back, you don't communicate with your kids. And so as the industry changes, I think it's important for us to remember we're not just solving and serving our parents and grandparents' generation anymore. We're
Right.
serving our generation. And we stay relevant that way. And I love that about, honestly, it's the better together mentality. We don't have it all figured out. We're learning from you guys and vice versa. And the objective is to continue to build and develop these things together. And if Zoom is one of those things, then that's good.
Well, we've always been big believers. Our team was a much bigger team when we first came together. Some folks have retired, some people have moved on, but we've always told clients we believe that 2 and 2 doesn't equal 4 when it comes to teams. It's 5 or 6, and so collectively we're a much better provider of help to people than we are individually, and so we really embrace the differences that we all bring to the table. And like we enjoyed meeting you guys and learning about what you guys bring to the table, and felt like you were definitely an additive to our team and what we were doing, and excited about how you guys are going to stretch us and push us out of our comfort zone. We need that.
Yeah, well, I think we all do. I mean, quite frankly, sometimes you get around a couple of people and you start sharing ideas and building on something, and it's a fit. And for us, that energy, that level of energy that you guys bring to the table, the way you plan, the way you guys work for your clients, the record and experience that you bring to the table is very, very impressive to us. And we cannot be more grateful for the collaboration that we have as brothers and sisters in an industry that's really all about serving people. I love the saying I heard from Zig Ziglar one time, and I've done a video on it. I've talked about it multiple times, but it's always great. And I think you guys symbolize this, and that is, they say that you'll always find success. Zig said, you'll find success if you do 3 things. Number 1 is you've got to help people. And you got to remember that serving people and helping them is number 1 objective, but you have to be solving for a problem that they have. And if you're helping them solve problems, that's a big thing. The second thing is you have to turn a profit. A lot of people help solve problems, but forget they don't stay in business very long because they don't know how to run the business. And so part of staying in business and helping more people is elevating your message, solving and helping people, creating that business model that's going to actually be profitable to help people. And the third is serving a purpose and a higher being than yourself, serving God, having something that's more important than you that you're accountable to. And I love that because I believe it symbolizes who we are, who you are, and what you've really talked about a lot today.
Well, and we tell clients often that Mark and I are stewards, that this business isn't ours. We're just a steward of the business. And so the monies and the assets that are entrusted to us aren't ours. They're not even the clients. We're big believers that they're God's assets, and that we're simply stewards here trying to manage it the best way we can for them. So there is a higher accountability than just the client. I've often had clients tease me and say, now listen, if you lose all my money, I'm coming to live in your basement, and I'm not worried about that. or even more veiled threats like, hey, we'll come sue you. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm not concerned about that. I'm more concerned about, making sure that I'm doing a good job for him. So ultimately his accountability is worse than anything you can put on me.
Well, running an ethical, a legal, profitable business is a very admirable thing. At the end of the day,
it's got to be profitable, but it's also got to be fair, right? I mean, it's not all about profit. We do have to make money in order to be able to stay around and be able to help you for many generations. And we've got clients that working on 5th generation families, and we wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't profitable and being able to make a living for our families. but do it in a fair way, And so we've been blessed enough that we can find that happy balance between being profitable and fair, so that we can be around for many generations to help your future generations, your children, your grandchildren, great grandchildren, and so forth, which is a lot of fun.
100%. 100%. Well, Richard, I've enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed introducing you to our to the people that follow us on a regular basis, to the people that follow you, even though social media is a new endeavor for you guys, and the Zooms are a new endeavor. I think that the warmth and honesty and professionalism that you and the team bring to the table is something that I know we're proud of to be partners with, and I know you're proud of. And I just wanted to say thank you for sharing today. Thanks for being a part of something that we know is outside the box and a little outside the comfort zone. And I look forward to doing these a little bit more and finding opportunities to learn more about each other's practices.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. Thank you for the time.
It's our pleasure.